Aloha and welcome to Supply Chain Training with Vessel. Thank you and mahalo for attending. We are excited to dig into this topic at hand with you and your team. Being born and raised in Hawaii, I have a vested interest in the success of manufacturing companies in my home state, especially since I grew up with most of these local brands. We spoke with Hawaii manufacturing companies like you to understand the unique challenges you face on a daily basis. Thank you for participating in our research. We really appreciate all your time and feedback, as it was important for us to connect with Hawaii companies first. The opportunity to work with your companies generated a lot of excitement for us to dig into this project. We believe this training will provide key insights to help your team improve over multiple supply chain areas. Our goal is to provide education to bring applicable next steps to your company to improve your processes and overall efficiencies. To better serve you through this training, we would love to identify topics you would like to learn more about through your feedback. Please leave a comment below, letting us know what we should dig into further. Mahalo.
Welcome to this education module on automation. Today we're going to talk about the foundational work required to begin prioritizing automation in your organization. You see, automation provides us a variety of benefits, like increased efficiency, reduction or elimination of errors or defects, reduction of workplace injury. It might allow companies to realign their workforce to more strategic roles or improve the overall product quality. Automation can help us reduce downtime, improve the data flow, and even the traceability of our products in the system. At its core, the world today is fast-paced. New technologies and innovations are released all the time. It's challenging to keep track of it all. But if you aren't paying attention, you could be missing out on improving your business and reducing your overall cost to serve the end customer. Automation's a hot topic in manufacturing, and especially in food manufacturing. So let's explore the topic together. We interviewed Hawaii manufacturers. 85% of the companies we spoke to had 100 or less employees. The majority of these teams were on the smaller scale, and most of the companies we talked to feel like they were stretched thin from a resource standpoint. So they simply wanted to know, okay, where do we start our assessment for automation? So here's our answer. To identify pain points in your business, it's critical to do process mapping. Automation can be one of many solutions to process problems that arise in your business. But without a clear map of how each step in the process works and what technology is currently impacted, we would be attempting to implement solutions without a full understanding of how they impact the system. So there are a variety of philosophies that one might use when it comes to mapping with the hopes of process improvement, or in this case, for the sake of automation. But let's just use 3 areas that tend to impact manufacturing organizations the most. These 3 areas are equipment, data management, and overall process flow. With regards to equipment, analysis should be done to look at the physical demand required to run a piece of equipment. Is there a piece of equipment that requires heavy lifting or repetition that could or has caused injury to employees? Is the equipment old? Is it difficult to run? Is it boring to run? Is it complex in some way? All of these things can lead to high turnover. And with specialized equipment, the cost of retraining can be a real burden. The analysis of each piece of equipment on the floor, how people are using it, and what's required to run them can help shine some light on your process that maybe you haven't considered before. Oftentimes, our organizations are growing organically. We buy new equipment or put new steps in the process to respond to the unique needs of our customers or the market. Every now and again, it's important to go back through, look at our facilities, and take our time analyzing the individual steps that make the equipment run and how employees are performing with the equipment that they have. Next, let's take a look at data management. Are you using manual data entry processes or systems that aren't connected to one another? Or maybe spreadsheets that have evolved over the year to become complex behemoths that your entire business operation hinges on. Does it sound familiar? Well, It's time to document the flow of information and understand where the manual processes are, because this is typically where the errors reside. We find that organizations might not be using the latest version of the software that they've licensed, or maybe they've overlooked key opportunities for integration between systems that would automate data flow, or maybe they've become reluctant to learn software that they own that could potentially save them time and money. The more manual touch points for data we have in a given system, the higher probability an error will occur. I cannot stress that enough. So take inventory of your systems that are involved in your business. What does each system do? What key information is flowing through the system? Is it pulled through the system automatically, or is it manually inputted? You can find the lowest hanging fruits in the systems that you've already licensed today. And finally, after looking at individual pieces of equipment and the flow of information, let's look at the entire system. How do materials flow from process to process? How long are materials waiting to be processed? What exactly are employees doing at each station? What are the trigger points that move things along the process? And what is the most common cause for downtime in your business? Building a process map that shows the flows and asking each question along the way can be extremely helpful, gaining a basic understanding of what's happening on your floor. Another simple way to do this is just ask your staff to write down everything that they do every 30 minutes throughout the day. Depending on your organization, this could just be a simple sample of one day, or maybe a couple of days across the course of a month. Asking employees questions could have huge benefits in this analysis as well. Questions like, what task did you complete and how long did it take? Did you have any risks or challenges while completing these tasks? How much of the tasks were typical in a given working day? What waste do you think is part of the process? Are there any opportunities you could help us identify to improve? All right. So you drew the boxes and you asked the questions and you have areas of improvement identified. Now what? Well, you're going to have to allocate some costs to the system. Some questions that you might want to start with are, how much raw materials are you currently storing? You could be over ordering. You could be under ordering. This impacts the business cash flow. What are the costs of work in process inventory on the floor? Work in process inventory are the raw materials that have made it to some phase of production. At each step in the process, something is happening. And depending on the amount of processing and labor, the costs could be very high or negligible. You should know where the most expensive parts of the process are in your production line. How much does it cost to do a production run? This is the total cost of production, including downtime for tooling. Oftentimes, production costs have a fixed component of getting things running and a per piece attribution for every product that moves through the process. Another great question is, what is the unutilized labor cost on the floor in a given day, week, or month? Basically, do you have people standing around? And if they are standing around, why? What parts of the process are taking the longest? How long do work in process inventory pile up in front of equipment? Is it hours, days, weeks? One of the most important recommendations we can provide, if you haven't read or listened to Eli Goldrat's 1980s book, The Goal, we strongly recommend it. This book provides a creatively written journey into a plant manager's perspective in analyzing and improving operations. The insights from this book have withstood the test of time and is still one of the most commonly referenced and read books in the industry and in supply chain undergraduate curriculum. One final point we wanted to highlight with this educational module is that automation may cause some fear and frustration with your workforce. Some employees may feel like you're attempting to replace them. You also may need to upskill key staff members so that they can have the right tools to come along with you in this journey. This could look like reading The Goal or participating in those process mapping exercises we mentioned earlier. At its core, you should respect the fears that staff have on all levels of the business. Some of these are likely legitimate concerns. Staff may be accustomed to the way that things are today. It requires transparency, obtaining buy-in, and helping them understand the overall objective. Your business is trying to make the job easier, remove monotonous and dangerous tasks from the system, and make room for strategic growth. Enthusiasm can go a long way, so don't be afraid to bring your team together and frame these mapping exercises, task logging, and analysis of systems as a net positive for the business and the individual employee. Make sure to set expectations that things will change, which might require some training or individuals to step up to new challenges in the business. Doing these tasks in collaboration with the team should help break down the us versus them mentality that can happen when introducing new ways of working. To review what you've learned so far, key benefits of automation include safety, efficiency, speed, cost savings, and more. The importance of mapping your processes of production. We talked about the importance to evaluate automation opportunities by framing the equipment you use, the information and the way it's flowing, and the way materials are passed through your system. The importance to get feedback from your employees on the front line who are actually doing the work. The importance of attributing cost across the system to understand where the opportunity for creating efficiencies are. We recommended the book The Goal by Eli Goldratt to explore some deeper ideas within the theory of constraints for you and your core team to research. And we also talked about one of the most overlooked but important aspects in preparing for automation, which is engaging with your team with a level of respect and transparency that they deserve. That concludes our high-level overview of preparing for automation. Join us in our follow-up module, Quick Automation Wins for Food Manufacturers, where we will explore specific technologies that could help you and your team get your first easy wins around automation. Thanks for joining us in this supply chain education module. In partnership with Innovate Hawaii, I'm Jake Blanchard from Vessel. Please make sure to share this video and post any questions or thoughts in the comment section below.
We really hope you found valuable insights within this training, and we're excited to hear your feedback. Our goal is to help improve Hawaii manufacturers' understanding of the supply chain. The more feedback we receive, the better we can provide meaningful connections and future ideas for how to service you and your teams. Please let us know what you thought through our survey Innovate Hawaii will send out over the next few weeks. Also, make sure to reach out to Wayne at Innovate Hawaii with any questions or concerns you may have. Thank you for attending, and mahalo.